bad feeling about this.
Hello and welcome to our very first episode of Star Wars Off Base, the show where we speculate, dive into satire, just, have a really good time around Star Wars. And I am joined on this episode by none other than the Last Jedi Luke himself, Luke Dillon.
Hi there, and welcome, smugglers, scoundrels, Sith, and scum.
There we go. A real quality crowd we're looking for on this show.
Yes, very. All starting with S's, mind you.
That's good.
Yes.
Everybody likes alliteration. So let's kind of talk a little bit about what this show, or what our hope is for this show. And it's kind of an experiment on our part. We do a lot of long format stuff as far as podcasting goes. We wanted to just kind of take a look at maybe some areas of Star Wars that we don't really talk about all that much, speculate a little bit, have some fun, maybe even get Carl Hassler on here and throw some satire in, because that's what he's best at.
Mm-hmm.
But, just kind of almost spitball some questions that we might have about Star Wars and see where the conversation goes.
Exactly. That's the plan. There's actually a lot of stuff in Star Wars that you probably didn't think about, and hopefully we will open your eyes to a new world.
A wider world. We're
Yes.
taking our first steps, right?
Yes. Thank you for tying in the quote.
Yeah.
I'm
Always.
hoping. Yeah, we have to. There'll probably be a lot of quote tie-ins as well. We'll try to. It might be cheesy, but I don't know. We're sitting here talking about Star Wars. It's kind of the way it goes.
Well, yeah. It's off base. You never know where we're going to end up.
Exactly. Thank you.
We're out in the outer rim, beyond
The Dune Sea.
We're in unknown space.
Yes.
It's going to be a rocking good time.
Yeah.
So Luke, I know that Obi-Wan Kenobi has been in the conversation around the interwebs and Star Wars fandom over the last couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I had kind of been talking and wondering, while Obi-Wan Kenobi, or, old Ben, is sitting on Tatooine, what is he up to? And, can we really trust this guy? Because he seems to be, there's a lot of potential for some nefarious stuff going on once he's kind of off on his own.
Exactly.
So what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I was just trying to think the other day, like, how many times does Obi-Wan actually lie to Luke? Well, first off, the name Ben, that's not really his name, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then he said that Darth Vader killed his father. Not really true.
Yeah.
And then what else?
From a certain point of view.
Yes, and of course, that is slowly becoming my favorite quote in the Star Wars universe, because you can get away with anything. You just add from a certain point of view, and you're safe, pretty much.
Yeah.
Safe.
Well, and that's kind of the relativism of the day, is it not?
Yes.
So as I'm kind of looking at some of the things you wrote down here, was Ben just using the Force to kind of puppet Luke into seeing things from his perspective? What do you mean by that?
Well, look at A New Hope. Luke is in the trench run. He's looking at his targeting computer, and he hears a voice in his head, and it's Obi-Wan saying, "Luke, let go." And Luke does exactly what Ben tells him. So
Yeah.
I think Ben was Jedi mind tricking Luke into actually letting go of the targeting computer, and Luke actually doesn't know the Force the entire, you know, like throughout the entire Star Wars trilogy. Um, and it's actually Ben just Force ghosts puppeting him the whole time. Um, yeah,
So
it's
are you thinking that he is kind of channeling his power through Luke, or is he and going to one of his favorite Jedi powers, the mind trick, uh, to kind of convince Luke to do certain things in certain situations? Uh,
yes, very
okay,
manipulative,
okay.
very manipulative,
So he's a liar. He's a manipulator,
and a gambler,
a gambler.
a
I
gambler.
what do you mean? What do you mean about that?
Well, I mean, he's on Tatooine for 20 years, watching Luke on a moisture farm. Um, I'm sure there was some sort of, compensation for him that he got from the Jedi Order, some sort of Jedi savings bank account. And
Really? Yeah.
and I don't know, what could he do on Tatooine? We do know that Ben causes a hive of scum and villainy, so I'm guessing there's some gambling going on there. Um,
Probably.
and I think that's why 20 years went from Revenge of the Sith to New Hope, and Ben looks a lot older than he should be when you compare him to Ewan McGregor. Um,
Yeah, probably. He didn't age too well.
yeah, it's all the debts he's accrued over 20 years of gambling, really.
So he ends up just kind of being bored. So
Oh yeah, oh
this
yeah.
supposed Obi-Wan Kenobi standalone film that we might get, instead of it kind of being this heartbreaking story of a broken man grappling with the loss of his friends, his livelihood, and now this constant reminder of his best friend who he had to pretty much dismember. Well, he did dismember.
Yeah.
That instead,
Darth Vader didn't kill Anakin. You kind of did.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Remember.
So going
So,
back to that kind of lie, watching as he
yeah.
burns in lava,
And
walking
then
away.
walks away. Oh, I better get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're saying that instead of this very emotional story, you think the reality of the situation is Ben is just he has a gambling problem and needs to get off world.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't word it any better. Yeah. I mean, we just listed, three three different things that lead us to believe that Ben is not exactly what he seems. So, um, yeah, I don't trust him. I don't trust him.
Not one
The
bit.
bottom line, bottom line.
He seems like this kind of grandfatherly figure that has been watching over and making sure Luke's okay. He's been charged by Yoda to take care of Luke and eventually train him up. But
Hmm.
in the end, he just ends up uh, sacrificing himself to make sure that Luke gets away when really he ends up that line of becoming more powerful than you can possibly imagine, saying that to Anakin Vader.
Just trying to trick him.
Well, is he tricking him? Yeah, that is something we're gonna have to talk about. What powers do Force Ghosts actually have? How is he more powerful?
Yeah,
I don't know,
yeah.
but we'll get into that later. Um,
Next episode, or
yeah,
then one after, or we'll see.
so a future episode.
Yeah.
Where is he really going with any of that? And it's interesting to kind of see Luke's reaction. He's very sad. Uh, Leia has to console him in spite of Leia losing anyone that she knows, her entire home world destroyed, and Luke is the one that's sulking when this guy that he barely knows. And
Exactly.
so
That
it's gotta be some sort of manipulation.
manipulation. There's another theory out there, we'll think about it. Like, how long did Luke actually know Ben or Obi-Wan or whatever he's called? I mean, in the movie, it seems like Obi-Wan, finds him, knocked out by the Tusken Raiders,
Yeah.
and then, they go over to where do they go? They went to the Mos Eisley Cantina. They come back, the Lars are dead, and then bam, they're up in Alderaan, or well, the remainder of Alderaan. But um, I mean, it seriously could be about the course of 2 hours um, that they actually know each other.
Yeah, I mean, there's some indication that he's at least aware of him. Uncle Owen really doesn't like the guy. Uh,
Because
and
he knows that he's a Jedi mind trick manipulator. He says, "Stay away from him. He's gonna trick you."
that very well could be. So Uncle Owen is the real hero here.
Yeah, he looks like a jerk in the movies, but he's actually protecting his nephew from uh, the old mastermind, Ben Kenobi.
Interesting stuff I've
Yeah.
never thought about. And I don't know if it's worthwhile having an Obi-Wan Kenobi standalone anymore. If this is the kind of guy we want to hold up as a character to emulate, I don't know.
Yeah, and I personally think that in the new movie, if they come out with one, well, they are, right? That's confirmed, I think.
I haven't seen any confirmation, but I'm really trying to stay off social media right now. Way too much Last Jedi stuff out there.
Yeah, you are right. You are right there, my friend. Um, but I'm scared that in the new Obi-Wan film that they'll reveal another juicy tidbit, and you know, it'll confirm our narrative here that Ben uh, is morally corrupt and he's a filthy old liar, and um, we we need to watch the movies again and change our perspective
I,
on this
I
man.
I think that's good, and I think that's where we probably should start. The really thinking about how he has interacted with the characters around him throughout not only the original trilogy and A New Hope in particular, uh, but I think the prequels need a good going over again as well.
They need their redemption.
Yeah, he really seems like a good kid in the Phantom Menace, just
Yeah.
doing what Qui-Gon asked him to do. Really straightforward rule follower, but as it goes on, and Anakin is just kind of that wild child that he has to control.
Hmm.
You start to see some tendencies you may not want in a guy that you really trust,
Yeah.
and that gap time on Tatooine, like you said, that
Yeah. A
there
lot can happen.
there's totally a lot there. So
Yeah.
I mean, Luke even tries in Empire. Luke tries to call him out, and
Yeah.
he explains it away, like you said,
No, Return of
with
the
your
Jedi.
favorite.
Return of the Jedi, I think.
Oh, it is okay.
Right.
Thank you
Yeah.
for correcting me. I've been
Yeah.
watching the prequels too much. I don't remember the
Be
original.
careful. Be careful. Yeah.
Uh, all right. Well, I think this is a fascinating uh, revelation and just some real hard hitting investigations we need to do to really
Yeah.
see where Obi-Wan truly has ended up, and to really test his character and see what he's really made of, especially if we're considering this standalone film.
Of course. Exactly. We need to see all the evidence first. And there's I think there's more stuff out there. We might revisit Ben in the future. Be ready. Um, yeah. So I'll just leave that as a little
He,
trait, for you
yes,
guys.
he,
Yeah.
he's a man of many different character traits that
Yes.
we can discuss.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up our first episode of Star Wars Off Base. Like we said, it's going to be kind of out there. We want you to come along on this journey with us.
Hmm.
Let us know in the comments below or on Twitter,
On
on
Twitter.
unmistakably starwars.com are all
Anywhere.
places that you can let us know what you think of. Uh, is Obi-Wan Kenobi really a morally corrupt dude and a manipulator? Or is he just kind of the good guy we've always thought him to be? Uh,
Yeah.
Let us know your thoughts. We'll be back with another episode real soon. Until then, may the force be with you.